Good morning. I'm ready to start with the business presentation executed by Zappone Massimo. I'm ready to introduce the following table contents, analyzing the UK's economy, what Brexit really cost the UK, and if it's the worst over, the reading concerning the definition of the negotiation, analyzing the solution to fight the negative conflicts and the negative emotions, the listening, the conclusion, and the final greetings. Okay, so in the introduction, I would like to start by UK economy in the last years during the post-Brexit. Okay, and to arrive at the post-Brexit, it's essential to say that that on 31st of January in 2020, the UK decided to leave the European Union and therefore the single market and the custom union, in which there is the free circulation of capital, goods and services, due to the referendum of 2016, voted by 51.89% of Britain's citizens. And there are some of the negative impacts post-Brexit after this decision to leave the European Union using the Article 50 of the Treaty of European Union. For example, there's the contraction of the gross domestic product of the GDP, and therefore, as reported by the chief economist UK Marion Amiot, there's a little capacity for growth, and the inflation is rising at 3.6% in June, exceeding the expectation, and the Bank of England needs to get the tax of inflation down to 2% using the monetary restrictive policy, increasing the tax of interest and reducing the amount of money in circulation. It's essential, right? And about the unemployment is rising. In fact, in June, there's a significant increase of the tax of unemployment to 4.7%, and the inflation is the general increase of the prices monitored by the Consumer Price Index. And in addition, it's essential to analyze the negative impact of the Brexit about the cost. So, as reported by researcher Springford, Brexit has cost £40 of billion. The Boris government decided to apply the restrictive fiscal policy in order to increase the taxes in the short period, in taking in consideration the losses of productivity of 4%. At the contrary, if there was the unemployment, the government would apply the fiscal expansive policy, increasing the public debt and the public spending. Okay. And the biggest challenge remains the productivity in the UK. About the reading concerning the negotiation, I would like now to discuss the negotiation, this definition, and in this reading I analyze the solution. The negotiation is an interactive process between two or more negotiators, for example, the seller and the client, or parties in the multi-million dollar deal, for example, or agreement, that is the synonym. And the solution to the way to arrive at the success in 5 steps is the collaboration. The 5 steps are the following. For example, it's essential to define the objective, to define the goal, and then we separate the people from the issue, understanding the difference between the content of the negotiation and the people who are negotiating. And in the last 3 points, we list pre-meeting questions, finding shared interests, and building a team who is essential to achieve greater cohesion, greater union among employees and collaboration. And finally, we look at creative options in the future perspective that might work for everyone. Concerning the listening, I found 3 business news in which in the first item in the news today, I talked about the recent elections in the country, UK clearly, and a 44.5% voter turnout was registered in the polling stations, and there are also slight change in demographics. Despite this increase of young people are still less likely to vote than older people. 84% of voters are in the 70 plus age group that came to the polling stations when we vote. Moving on, the second news, the global digital powerhouse ONK today posted quarterly results which were above forecast, and in March the CEO Tim Bowling, Chief Executive Officer, issued a profit warning over fears that there would be losses following the recall, the 40D device, and the company has obtained a gross margin of 34 to 35%, sharing the cash awarded to shareholders. In the final news, to conclude with the last item, I researched the key reasons to say goodbye at the payment with money, with cash. So, key reason for this is a growing interest in reducing the number of items people need to leave their homes with, and more and more retailers are accepting cashless payments, for example, with the credit or debit card, and in some cases they've stopped accepting cash altogether. In conclusion, finally, may I remind you of some of the main points we've considered, explaining that UK must focus on international trade agreements. This country tries to attract the talents and investments through appropriate monetary fiscal policies and the promotion of its manufacturing and innovation capabilities. That's all. Many thanks for the attention. Goodbye.